I want to tell you something I have never said out loud to anyone. Not because I am ashamed, but because for a very long time, I did not have the language for it. And now that I do, now that I am 64 years old and sitting in a quiet apartment with nothing but time and honesty, I think it is worth saying.
I spent 20 years being the most wanted man in any room I walked into. And I was the loneliest person in every single one of them.
I started at 22. I was in university studying economics. I was ambitious, presentable, and completely broke in the particular way that makes a young man willing to consider things he might not otherwise consider. I met a woman through a girlfriend I was dating at the time. Wealthy, older. She made it clear she was interested. I made it clear I would need to be compensated. That was the beginning. Within a year, I had 6 regular clients. Within 3 years, I had more money than any of my friends in their graduate jobs. Within 5 years, I had been to places and seen things that most people only read about in magazines. I told myself I was winning. The clients were almost always the same underneath the surface. Rich, successful, presentable in their professional lives, and running from something they could not name at dinner parties or board meetings or school pickup. Some wanted sex. That was straightforward. Some wanted to be seen with me at events, to walk into a room with someone young and attractive on their arm and watch the room shift slightly in their direction. Some, and these were the ones that stayed with me longest, just wanted someone to sit with, someone who would listen without judging, someone who would be there for the hour without needing anything back.
The loneliest people I ever met were not poor. They were not unloved. They were just unreachable, even to themselves.
I learned something about human beings in those 20 years that no economics degree could have taught me. People do not pay for sex. Not really. They pay for escape. They pay for the version of themselves that exists for 1 hour without the weight of everything they have built and everything they owe and everyone who needs something from them. I was not a person to most of them. I was a door they walked through to get away from their actual lives. And I told myself that was fine, that it was business, that I was providing a service. And it was fine. For a long time, it was genuinely fine.
Around 45, I started noticing something. Every client who walked out that door went back to their life. I had nowhere to go back to.
The problem with performing intimacy for long enough is that eventually you forget what the real thing feels like. Not the physical part, that was never the issue. The other part where someone knows your bad habits and stays anyway. The part where you do not have to be interesting or attractive or available. The part where someone sees you on an ordinary Tuesday when you are not performing anything and chooses to remain in the room. I had not experienced that in years, maybe longer than years. I had been desired by hundreds of people. I had been known by none of them. And somewhere around my late 40s, I started to understand that I had confused those two things for so long that I was not sure I knew the difference anymore. I retired at 58, not dramatically, not with a crisis, just gradually and then completely. The first few months, I kept waiting for my phone to ring with something that needed doing. It did not ring. I sat in this apartment and realized that the entire infrastructure of my identity had been built around being needed by strangers. And now, the strangers were gone. I had money, I had time, I had a view of the city from my window that cost more per month than my father had earned in a year. And I sat in front of it every morning and felt absolutely nothing.
The hardest part of retirement was not the quiet. It was realizing the quiet had always been there. I had just been paid to ignore it.
I am not telling you this story because I regret my choices. I made them clearly, and I would make many of them again. I'm telling you this story because of what those 20 years taught me about the thing that was missing from every room I ever walked into. Every client, every hotel, every event where I stood beside someone wealthy and important and completely hollow. The thing missing was not sex. It was not money or status or youth or beauty. It was the particular courage it takes to let someone see you without performance, without the version of yourself that you have curated for the world. Just you, unedited, uncompensated, unrehearsed. Most of the people who hired me had never shown that version of themselves to anyone. Honestly, for a long time, neither had I.
I watched 100 people pay to escape their real lives. I never once asked myself what I was escaping. That is the confession.
I am 64 years old now. I have a small group of people who know me, actually know me. Not the version I perform, but the one that exists on a quiet morning when there is nothing to prove and nowhere to be. That took longer to build than anything else in my life. Longer than the money, longer than the network, longer than 20 years of being precisely what other people needed me to be. Learning to simply be what I actually am, without an audience, without compensation, without the particular armor of being wanted. That has been the hardest and the most worthwhile work of my life.
If you are performing a version of yourself for the world, I understand why. I just want you to know what it costs. Over time, it costs everything.
The apartment is quiet tonight. I do not mind the quiet the way I used to. I have learned the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the quiet that arrives when you have been surrounded by people who did not actually know you. Solitude is the quiet that belongs to you. I am still learning to live inside the second one, but I am learning. And at 64, I will take learning over knowing every time.
Take care of the people who actually know you, not the ones who want you, the ones who know you. That is the whole lesson. That is all of it.